You know, for almost all of human history, we've been a rural species. But right now, in our lifetime, that is completely flipped. We're living through one of the biggest transformations our world has ever seen, the Great Urban Migration. So let's dive into this massive shift and see how cities are literally shaping our future.
This number, 50%, this is the number that changed everything. Back in 2007, for the very first time in history, humanity crossed this huge threshold. More than half of the world's population, that's over 3.17 billion people, were living in cities. We officially became a majority urban species.
But you know, a tipping point like that doesn't just happen overnight. It was really the peak of a movement that's been picking up speed at a totally breathtaking pace, a true global migration into our urban centers. And when you look at the timeline, you really get a sense of just how fast this all happened. Just look at this acceleration. In 1980, you have Mexico City setting a new world record for the sheer speed and scale of its growth. Then just 2 years later, China relaxes its internal passport system and things just take off. By 2007, we hit that 50% mark, and only a year after that, China's urban population had doubled in less than 2 decades. This isn't some gentle trend, it is a full-blown explosion. And this quote, wow, it really puts it into perspective, doesn't it? That one policy change in 1982 wasn't just some local event. No, it kicked off the single largest movement of people from the countryside to cities that the world has ever seen. The scale is just, it's almost impossible to wrap your head around. So, with literally billions of people on the move, where's the epicenter of all this? Where is this transformation happening the fastest? Where are new cities basically appearing on the map out of thin air? And here is your answer. While the growth is happening everywhere, the most staggering story is right here, in Asia. Since 1990, China alone has built 246 new cities. I mean, these aren't just old towns they renovated. These are cities built from the ground up, and they're now home to over 173 million people. This is building the future at a speed and scale that is just, well, it's completely unprecedented. Of course, growth this explosive comes with massive challenges. It's a real double-edged sword, right? It creates immense opportunity, but at the same time, it puts incredible strain on everything. And depending on where you are in the world, that strain looks very different. So in many parts of the developing world, when infrastructure just can't keep up with this tidal wave of people, you see the rapid expansion of slums. I mean, just look at the data for sub-Saharan Africa. The slum population went from about 101 million in 1990 to almost 200 million by 2005. It nearly doubled in just 15 years. That is one very real side of this challenge. Now, let's flip the coin and look at the other side. In wealthier nations like the US, the problem often isn't slums, it's sprawl. The amount of developed land just keeps expanding outwards. It jumped from 70 million to over 111 million acres in only 25 years. That's a massive resource-hungry expansion. So you have two very different problems, both born from the exact same global trend. But, and this is a really big but, here's the hopeful part of the story. Cities aren't just the source of these problems. They are also the world's greatest engines of innovation. And all around the globe, cities are coming up with brilliant solutions to manage their growth. They are absolutely fighting back. Take Oregon, for example. Way back in 1973, they did something pretty radical. They created a statewide plan built around a simple but really powerful idea, the urban growth boundary. It was literally a line in the sand, designed to stop sprawl in its tracks, preserve precious farmland, and encourage smarter, denser development inside the boundary. Maryland took a different but equally clever approach. They realized that their own state money for things like new roads and sewers was actually paying for sprawl. So their solution was the Smart Growth Act. It basically says, we're only going to direct state funds to areas we already want to grow, using the power of the government's wallet to build smart. But what if the planning doesn't come from the top down? What if it comes from the bottom up? While this number, 20,000 plus, that's how many regular citizens in Vancouver actively helped create their own city's master plan. And the result was City Plan, a vision that's all about human-scale living. So instead of one giant downtown, the plan creates these vibrant neighborhood centers. It pushes for different kinds of housing so people can stay in their communities as they get older. And crucially, it puts walking, biking, and transit ahead of the car. It's a plan built by the people, for the people.
Okay, now let's head down to South America, to a city that has become a global legend in urban planning, Curitiba, Brazil. It's famous all over the world for solving huge urban problems with creativity, foresight, and a surprisingly small budget.
Their masterstroke is their bus rapid transit system. It is pure genius in its simplicity. They took the center lanes of major roads and dedicated them exclusively to express buses. And make it crazy fast, passengers pay before they get on in these cool tube stations, and they board at platform level, just like a subway. Boarding takes seconds. It's basically a subway system on wheels for a tiny fraction of the cost. And the result? Get this, an incredible 70% of Curitiba's commuters use this public transit system to get to work every single day. And here's the wild part. This is in a city with one of the highest rates of car ownership in Brazil. It just proves that if you build public transit that's fast, convenient, and dignified, people will actually use it. So from Oregon to Vancouver to Curitiba, the lesson here is pretty clear. The future of our cities, whether they end up sprawling, congested, and divided, or vibrant, efficient, and livable, that isn't an accident. It's a choice. It's about intentionally inventing the future that we all want to live in. And this, right here, is the ultimate goal. This vision from a UN conference, it just perfectly captures what's at stake. This isn't just about roads and buildings. It's about creating places that actually allow for dignity, health, and hope for every single person. And this brings us right back home. The forces shaping our urban world are huge, but the solutions are often local. So the last question I have is for you. Do you know what your city's plan is? Because the future of the place you live is being decided right now.